Ono had her own artistic career, where you can see her work in Chicago, and why next month will hold a special meaning.
Also, with temperatures below zero later this week, you are probably thinking, hey, let's go somewhere warm. Well, we're going to be speaking with a travel expert about the best times to book a trip.
Yeah, but warm is like the complete opposite of what we're going to be feeling come this weekend. So enjoy it today. Good morning, Caitlin.
Good morning. We've got mostly cloudy skies today, and the temperatures, they're not bad, dare I say. We are in the upper 20s right now. It's 27 degrees outside. That west wind around 5 to 10. What Natalie was talking about, though, she's right. Heading into Friday, it is going to be brutally, dangerously cold yet again. But today is going to be the warmest day of our 7-day outlook. Satellite radar showing we have a little bit of light snow coming down from Chicago points southeast, especially at this point. Drier skies have already returned for those of you who live in our western counties like DeKalb, down into LaSalle County. But the temperatures, they are ranging. I see freezing in Kankakee, 28 in Valpo, 27 from O'Hare to the lakefront, and 22 from Waukegan to 21 at Woodstock. So a little bit colder for our northern counties. Here's your day planner. Temperatures in the 30s today with those mostly cloudy skies, but that bottom is going to be dropping as we end the week. I'll show you that with our full forecast ahead.
Okay, Caitlin, see you shortly. Thank you. The teen curfew has been a source of controversy for Chicago City Council.
The council may take it up once again today. Roseanne is live with more. Good morning, Roseanne.
Good morning. They're taking that up, and also a ban on hemp products here in the city. That measure expected to pass. As for the curfew, the new measure changes the amount of time that police have to give notice. They have to give 12 hours notice when they are enacting a temporary curfew. The previous ordinance that was vetoed by the mayor called for 30 minutes notice before an emergency curfew. Now, the idea of those is to prevent those mass teen gatherings that have led to violence, like the downtown shooting on the night of the Christmas tree lighting. One man was killed and several others shot. But the emergency curfew idea drew pushback from civil liberties groups and the mayor, who vetoed it, saying it wasn't needed. The city council will vote on that new version today. Now, members will also consider that proposed citywide ban on the sale of hemp products that I mentioned, unless they're sold by licensed cannabis dispensaries. Supporters say this would protect children from these products, which do contain chemical compounds found in cannabis. But business owners, they're against the move. They say it would hurt their business, and also the customers who rely on hemp products for medical conditions. Now I'm going to bounce back to the curfew, which is being voted on, because we're just not certain where the mayor stands on this new version, and so we don't know whether or not he might veto it if it were to pass city council. So those two big measures on the docket, we'll be heading inside to see how the votes go. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Roseanne. Police are searching for a suspect in a fatal shooting at a car wash. This happened in the Marshall Square neighborhood last night near the corner of Southwestern Avenue and West 23rd Street. Police say the suspect got out of an SUV and shot a 23-year-old man while he was in the parking lot. If you've seen something, please call police.
Some Minnesota police officers say that ICE has been profiling off-duty officers. Brooklyn Park's chief says one of his officers was stopped in traffic and ICE demanded proof of citizenship. The chief said agents drew guns, knocked her phone away and when she tried to record, and left when she identified herself as a police officer.
This behavior erodes the trust that these police chiefs have worked tirelessly for the last 5 years and theoretically the last 60 years to stop this exact behavior from happening. This is not widespread. This is a small group of agents within the surge in the metro area that are performing or acting this way.
Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bavino says anything ICE agents are doing is legal, ethical, and moral.
The Justice Department says some Department of Government Efficiency workers shared sensitive Social Security Administration information with a third party. The disclosure is in a court filing. It says the workers shared information with a political group looking to overturn election results in some states.
5 Democratic senators are investigating oil sales from Venezuela. They say they have given 15 banks until the end of the month to say if they are holding or were asked to hold money from the oil sale. The president has said the U.S. is in control of Venezuela's oil.
Atlanta preparing for the chance of an inch of ice this weekend. The city says now if that much ice happens, there will be power outages for days. There's a big winter storm that's going to whack much of the South from Texas to Virginia.
All right, so let's check in on the local weather situation with Caitlin Cody. And today is probably the day with the most relief, because I understand it's going to get super, super cold tomorrow.
That's right, especially Friday. I like how it said it's going to whack the South. It's so true. Ice conditions expected. Southeastern portions of the United States are going to have some serious travel issues expected this weekend. But for us here locally this morning, we have some light snow coming down in portions of northwest Indiana. So behind me, you can see that blue covering portions of LaPorte, 2 Lake, Porter County, Jasper, Newton counties, as well as in Berrien County. In Chicago, you might see a flurry here or there. But again, most of that light snow is southeast of the city. Temperatures outside right now are in the 20s and 30s. We're sitting at 27 degrees at the lakefront and O'Hare, 28 at Midway, 31 in Joliet, 22 in Waukegan. Anthony's right. Today, temperatures are actually going to be quite mild compared to what's to come, as highs push into the upper 20s and low 30s this afternoon. As we work our way through the evening, the chance for the return of some light scattered snow will be here. And then tomorrow, temperatures are going to be peaking in the 20s instead of the 30s, so slightly cooler tomorrow. But that's when the temperatures drop tomorrow night into Friday, with an extreme cold expected, wind chills well below 0. We'll take a look at that timeline with those temperatures ahead.
Caitlin, thank you. And the airlines, they're really enjoying weight loss drugs. Why it's helping them, but not necessarily you, save money.
And there's trouble with tuna. What's on the recall list and where it was sold in Illinois. We'll have more weather coverage as well next. But first, as we go to break, here's a quick look at your 7-day forecast.
What are you girls doing?
We're doing all the heating, plumbing, and electric around here.
All right, I know you girls know stuff, but let's leave it to our trusted local experts. Let's call Four Seasons.
It's about time you figured it out.
Whether it's heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, air duct cleaning, or generators, you can always trust Four Seasons.
For all the right reasons, call 866-4 Seasons.
All right, welcome back. It's 8:09 as we take a look at the skyline there, frozen Lake Michigan. Just a tiny little patch of water there peeking through.
And apparently there's a couple brave ducks swimming on that tiny patch of water with very cold feet.
Indeed. Okay, we'll check back in with Caitlin in just a minute, but we have just learned there's been another train crash, a bad one in Spain.
One person was killed, 37 hurt when a retaining wall fell onto the tracks in Barcelona. Spain is in the middle of 3 days of mourning for the train collision this weekend where 42 people were killed. Crews in Barcelona say the train driver in this specific case was killed. There have been several days of rain in addition.
All right, the FDA says some recalled tuna is back in stores. On the list, 4 packs of 5-ounce Genova yellowfin tuna in olive oil and 5-ounce Genova yellowfin tuna in extra virgin olive oil with salt. They were recalled last year for botulism. They were sold at Meyer in Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin.
NASA getting ready for a dress rehearsal for its first manned trip to the moon since 1972. The 4-person crew on the mission expected to go through all the motions in the next 2 weeks. The Artemis rocket is expected to lift off on February 2nd. It'll take the crew to the other side of the moon. It's not going to land. It will be the farthest human beings have traveled so far in space.
Oh, that's something. All right, 8:11. Let's check in with Caitlin for another look at this Wednesday and how it's going to shape up Thursday and Friday. It's going to get deep frozen out there, huh?
Very cold, yes, again at the end of the week. Today is going to be our little reprieve from the brutally cold temperatures as we are in the 20s right now and low 30s. So you can see behind me, we have had some light snow this morning. Right now it is 27 degrees at the lakefront. I'm seeing freezing just south of Chicago. Kankakee, you're sitting at 32. 28 at LaSalle. Temperatures north of the city around 22 from Waukegan to Woodstock. Northwest Indiana temperatures for you are in the upper 20s to about 30 degrees. So it's not too terrible outside this morning, but we are going to have mostly cloudy skies today and the chance for snow returning this evening. Light scattered snow showers you can see moving in around 4 to 5 on through until about midnight, and then high pressure dries us out. Tomorrow temperatures are going to be slightly cooler with highs in the 20s, and then we do have that chance for a little bit of light snow again in the afternoon and evening. Then the main headline, the temperature, because we are dropping as we head on into your Friday. So let's talk about our wind chill. Taking you through today, first of all, we are going to feel like we could be in the upper teens this afternoon when our actual temperature is in the 30s. Then we work our way to this evening, 5, 6 o'clock, temperatures still feeling like we could be around 15 to 20. Overnight tonight, we are dropping down to below 0 for that feel like temperature into early Thursday. And then Thursday, temperatures in the afternoon are going to feel like we could be hardly out of the single digits, and it just gets worse from there. An extreme cold watch is in effect for Friday morning, 3 a.m. until noon for Chicago, points west and south. So Kankakee County, Will County, DeKalb, LaSalle, we are all going to be brutally cold, but that's just where this warning is in effect. Excuse me, this watch is in effect in this dark blue color where we could see those wind chills below 30 degrees below 0 for Friday early. So it is going to be, as mentioned, dangerously cold. 7-day forecast shows our high on Friday of 1 degree below 0. And then this weekend, temperatures slowly get better. We're back to the teens on Sunday with a chance for some snow around. And then early next week, quiet with temperatures finally back to the 20s by Tuesday. Natalie.
Unbelievable. All right, thank you, Caitlin. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is going to be in the audience for today's Supreme Court oral arguments in Lisa Cook's case. Powell will be there to support Cook. The White House has been looking to fire Cook and says she committed mortgage fraud, though there have been no criminal charges. The Supreme Court is deciding if the president can fire Cook. The president also wants to fire Powell. The Supreme Court seems ready to strike down California's law banning guns in stores and restaurants. The law requires business owners to give explicit consent for firearms on their property. Gun rights advocates backed by the Trump administration argue it violates the Second Amendment. Critics say it protects property rights.
High-profile attorney Ben Crump will represent the family of a woman who died after riding Revenge of the Mummy at Universal Orlando. The 70-year-old woman became unresponsive after being on that ride, later dying at the hospital. This happened in November. It was just revealed this week. There have actually been 21 reported incidents related to that ride, Revenge of the Mummy, since 2001. A new report from the Kiel Institute for World Economy says that American companies as well, may be actually footing almost the entire bill for President Trump's tariffs on foreign countries. The report says American companies, American importers, and American themselves have paid 96% of the tariffs. Foreign exporters have paid 4%. The administration said that the tariffs would reduce the deficit and possibly allow Americans to get a $2,000 check, but the tariffs, according to this report, only brought in $200 billion compared to the $1.7 trillion deficit.
The national sales tax. That's exactly what it is. We're going to continue to pay an awful price as consumers and as merchants in the United States.
The fact that that number is so small actually points to the success of American importers finding other ways to bring their products into the United States. Mm-hmm. If they didn't find other ways to bring the product into the United States, that number would be much, much, much larger.
Interesting. All right. After the tariffs were implemented, many U.S. companies, as he alluded to right there, quickly turned to other less tariffed countries to bring in goods at small or no extra cost.
Trump-appointed prosecutor Lindsay Halligan quits after a federal judge rules her appointment was illegal. President Trump appointed Halligan last September. Her short tenure was marked by pursuing indictments against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. A judge said she could not identify herself, though, as a U.S. attorney. The president appointed her without congressional approval.
Weight loss drugs are going to be a gain for airlines. However, you won't necessarily benefit. Why the drugs mean more money for the airlines. We'll talk about that after a quick break.
Say good morning, let the lights shine in and make a move. Energize me, wake me up, gon' make me feel brand new. Want some of that caffeine in my veins.
Everything you need to get stronger.
Natalie just said that the baby is moving around in her. It's just unbelievable that I'm sitting right next to her and there's a miracle unfolding like
I know.
2 feet away from
and
me.
Caitlin's had 3 miracles.
Oh, my God.
I just said his elbow was like, needs a little more space.
We're getting excited. We're getting
Thank you.
excited. All right, it's 8:19 to the news now. The president has been laying out why he wants Greenland at the Global Economic Summit in Switzerland.
And Brian is here now with more. Brian?
Well, President Trump arrived in Switzerland earlier this morning. This is his first international trip of 2026. His appearance in Davos at the World Economic Forum comes a day after marking the 1-year mark of his second term in office. Trump began his speech by touting what his administration has accomplished so far. He then addressed his desire to acquire Greenland, the president saying that this is a matter of national security.
I have tremendous respect for both the people of Greenland and the people of Denmark, tremendous respect. But every NATO ally has an obligation to be able to defend their own territory. And the fact is, no nation or group of nations is in any position to be able to secure Greenland other than the United States.
We're going to have much more from President Trump a little bit later. Back here at home, opening statements begin today for a man accused of putting a hit on Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino. Juan Espinoza Martinez is accused of offering $10,000 for Bovino's death back in October. Prosecutors claim that he is a ranking member of the Latin Kings. But last week, a judge ruled that that cannot be brought up during the trial. A photo from the Department of Homeland Security shows a Snapchat message allegedly sent by Martinez calling for the hit. Starting today, the Trump administration will be pausing visa applications from dozens of countries. The president says that immigrants have to prove that they would not be a financial burden. 75 countries are impacted. They include Brazil, Russia, Colombia, and Iraq. Mayor Brandon Johnson is backing off the city's plan to reclaim Chicago's parking meters. Former Mayor Richard M. Daley signed a generational deal in 2008 with Chicago Parking Meters, LLC. There's still 57 years left on that deal. Chicago would have had to borrow billions to buy out the contract. Mayor Johnson says the city did explore the idea, but in the end, the mayor says the price tag was just too high. Anthony?
All right, Brian, thank you. It's 8:21. The only people happier about these weight loss drugs, other than the people taking advantage of them, the airlines are. There's this benefit. I actually didn't think about this. There's a benefit at play in terms of weight for the airlines themselves.
Right. So on Chicago Live, Anita Blanton talked with someone who says airlines stand to make a whole lot of money because of these drugs.
Airlines have a lot of variable costs, so that means 30% of their costs consist of jet fuel, 30% is labor. So it's really hard to manipulate that because a plane has to fly with a certain amount of jet fuel. So what we did was we looked at the cost savings potential as GLP-1s have become more popular. When we first wrote this note 2 years ago, it was sort of seen as a joke, but now 12.4% of Americans are actually on GLP-1s, and the obesity rate has come down by 400 basis points. So passengers are actually lighter. Whether they're snacking, I'm not sure, so their airlines might lose out on snack sales, but what we looked at was how much could we potentially save in fuel, or can airlines save in fuel based on lighter weight passengers?
I mean, lighter weight passengers, but could it also say something about like maybe people not taking as heavy of luggage or something of that sort?
Well, I had some friends joke with me and say that actually folks would pack more luggage and more clothes because they'll feel better about themselves. But, you know, I think we've seen GLP-1s impact the entire ecosystem on the consumer side, so why not impact airlines? And I think we joke that maybe it'll take out passenger weight. I do think, you know, airlines do lots of things to save weight, from reducing the size of their magazines by thinning out the paper, from the type of food they have, from the type of packaging. So certainly a passenger weighing 20 pounds less does truly make an incremental difference.
Wow. And so you looked at the 4 largest U.S. carriers. That would be American Airlines, Delta Airlines, Southwest Airlines, and United Airlines for this.
Exactly. And we just analyze what the impact of lighter of 10% slimmer society means. It saves them 2% weight savings, and it could save them 1.5% on jet fuel, resulting in better bottom line for them and, slimmer waistlines for Americans.
And when we talk about, incremental things, I mean, something I would put incremental in quotations here because the gallons of fuel that are used by airlines is always kind of being analyzed, and the cost is in the billions.
Yeah, airlines spend 30% of their costs on fuel. So this would be tremendous savings. The weight that it could be expected to save is 170,000 gallons of fuel, or 290,000 in fuel costs a year per plane. So it would be pretty significant savings in terms of fuel.
All right, so let's talk about that quite honestly is a perk essentially for the airlines to be able to not have to spend maybe as much money on fuel. What are we, the passengers, going to get in the future as a result of them starting to save some money in this area?
Oh, well, airlines are a very tough business. In the financial world, they trade at very low multiples relative to the rest of the S&P. And that's because the volatility they have in their earnings outlook, their high costs. So don't expect much. But what we do see is airlines trying to offer passengers more. In a separate study we did, not published in this report, we expect U.S. seat capacity to increase by 7% for any sort of premium offering. That includes business class, premium comfort, to extra legroom. So we are seeing airlines go after customers to pay up for the perks. And that is making the airline experience a little bit nicer. Whether you think about a Delta One lounge or a United Polaris lounge, all the way to extra legroom seats at Southwest. So we are seeing the benefits become better, but customers clearly have to pay for that.
We always have to pay for something, don't we?
Indeed.
Never get a break. All right. And especially in the weather department, I could not believe when I saw the outlook for this weekend. Temperatures freezing, and you might be thinking about a tropical escape.
That's one way to soothe your soul, okay? So we are going to be speaking with a travel expert about the best times to book those summer trips and those spring break trips that is coming up. We're going to learn how to save a little money when we book. Caitlin, you were talking about this yesterday.
Book them now, baby.
Yeah.
I was looking for this summer. Things are already being sold out. Booked up across the area. Wisconsin Dells, good luck. I know, I'm thinking about summer too because it is going to be so brutally cold, especially as we end the week. This morning we have some light snow. What about this weekend? A full check of your forecast is ahead. And you can get away from some of that cold, Caitlin. You can come into the Museum of Contemporary Art right here in Chicago, and you can take a look at the Yoko Ono Music of the Mind exhibit. It's here until February. You have plenty of time. This is kind of an exhibit unlike other ones. You can get hands-on, interactive. You hear a lot of audio and the sound that goes along with Yoko's life. We'll have all the information here in a couple minutes.
Beer Time.
Welcome back, 8:30. A decision has been made on a data center in Naperville.
Saquon is live on what the city council decided. Hi, Say.
Hey, good morning to you guys. Yeah, there's been a lot of back and forth over the last few months over this proposed data center, but ultimately the city council voted late last night. It was a long-awaited decision to reject that proposed data center. Now, this morning we are also getting some reaction and a little more insight as well into how last night's city council meeting played out. Ian Holzhauer, one of the city council members who voted against that proposed data center, posted this on his Facebook page last night, saying in part, after more than 5 months of review, hours of public testimony, and after every council member had spoken, a new proposal was introduced around 10 p.m. The mayor and the developer's attorney suggested delaying the vote to allow the developer more time to submit revised plans, despite the developer itself choosing last night as the date for this item to appear on the agenda. Now, he goes on to say instead a motion was made to table the agenda item, not because of new information from the community, but because the petitioner was not fully prepared on the date it selected. He goes on to say that motion to delay failed, and shortly after, the city council struck down the proposed data center altogether. Now, that proposal, if approved, would have put the 200,000 square foot data center along Naperville and Warrenville roads with dozens of diesel generators. That area, by the way, pretty close to residential homes and nearby parks and playgrounds. And the people who live in that area say location really was their biggest concern, pointing to a risk of air pollution and louder noise.
We have presented 4 layers of supportive data. First, diesel exhaust is a known carcinogen. That is not debatable. Second, risk increases when diesel exhaust comes from stationary, concentrated sources, exactly what is proposed here.
So now residents are in a precarious position. Do we sell our home at a loss, or do we expose our families and children to a public health risk?
There have been countless meetings at City Hall, in resident homes, and in your offices. According to one council member, you have received a, quote, unprecedented amount of opposition correspondence.
Well, the developer of that proposed data center has also released a statement following the decision, saying, "We are disappointed by the outcome of the vote, which overturned the City Plan Commission's recommendation, and by the City Council's decision not to allow additional time for further studies to address concerns regarding our operations. Over the past year, we committed to investing hundreds of millions of dollars to develop a best-in-class facility at a site that has long served as an anchor of Naperville's technology and jobs corridor." Now, the City Council did say last night that the developer could file a lawsuit if that permit didn't get approved. They also said that something would still go in that site of that proposed data center. It's just unclear at this point what that could be. We have reached out to the City Council for more information, still waiting to hear back. Back to you guys.
Okay, Say, thank you very much for that report. Before we get to our other stories, we just want to take a quick look at the stock market. Just opened, losing about 870 points yesterday because of the whole Greenland situation, the threats by President Trump to take over that territory. So we will keep an eye on the markets throughout the day. All right, the person who killed the former Prime Minister of Japan will remain behind bars for the rest of his life.
Shinzo Abe was shot to death while giving a speech at a political event in 2022. The man who killed him had pleaded guilty before his trial began in October. He was given life in prison, and while Japan has the chance of parole, most people sentenced to life do die in prison. Abe was Japan's longest-serving prime minister.
All right, just what you do not want to hear as you crank up the heat. Natural gas prices, they are soaring. Prices rose 20% yesterday across the country. Heating costs were already going up this winter. Yikes.
And if you are looking for a place to retire in Illinois, the World Atlas says Naperville is your best choice. It says Naperville has a great walkability there and a culture as well. The World Atlas pointed out Naperville's Riverwalk and Naper Settlement, Aurora and Champaign were second and third.
Okay, well, the threat of frostbite is very real this week.
Brian's here with more on what doctors are saying.
Well, there's definitely a big difference between the cold just being annoying and being downright dangerous. Frostbite can happen within seconds when it gets really cold, like it has been this week. Your fingers, nose, toes, and ears are at the biggest risk. Doctors say that those parts of your body usually get less blood flow. But when your skin starts to get numb and you can't feel the cold anymore, that's when the damage is starting.
When the body is exposed to extreme cold, the blood recirculates towards the trunk and the inner organs, because those are the most important to keep warm, to keep oxygenated for life. So in order to stay alive, the body prefers sending the warm blood to the inner organs.
And also make sure that you layer up and don't get wet. You'll want to have some waterproof winter clothes. Some people going to the Bears game this past weekend, they were even using ski gear to protect themselves from the cold. And speaking of the cold, as we check in with Caitlin this morning, we're still below freezing, but it still feels a lot better than yesterday.
A lot better than yesterday. That's where we're going to start, the silver lining, before we get into the brutally, dangerously cold temperatures that are on the way this Friday. But our 24-hour temperature change for this morning, we are 20 to almost 30 degrees warmer than we were yesterday at this time. So it is going to be a mild day today compared to what's to come. Right now, it's 28 degrees at the lakefront, freezing in Joliet, 28 in Merrillville, freezing from Kankakee to 22 in DeKalb, 21 at Woodstock. These temperatures are going to be climbing into the 30s as our high today, but the wind chill is going to be quite a bit colder. You can see that behind me right now. It feels like 19 degrees at O'Hare and 18 in Aurora. So bundle up today. Over the next 12 hours, temperatures, as mentioned, reaching the low 30s, but we have the chance for some snowfall to return this afternoon into this evening. Light scattered snow, and then we are going to have colder temperatures, as mentioned, as we head into the next couple of days, especially by tomorrow night. Here's your futurecast. Let's time out that chance for snow. 5:30 p.m. starting to see it move in. Scattered light snow will be out of here overnight. And then tomorrow temperatures are going to be peaking in the 20s. And then the temperatures drop below zero. This is going to carry us into our Friday morning when wind chills could be around 30 to 40 degrees below zero. The feel like temperature Friday early, very cold. We'll take a look at your full 70 forecast ahead.
Thank you, Caitlin. Well, if there is someone who knows what it's like to draw a Beatles-style crowd, it is certainly Gabriella Priman.
That's right. She always draws a crowd wherever she goes. Yoko Ono wasn't one of the official Beatles, but she's got one of the strongest connections to the group, marriage to John Lennon. Gabby is live with more on a Yoko exhibit that is coming up in Chicago. Good morning, Gabby.
Hey, you know what? This is pretty cool. There's a lot to unpack there in that first sentence that you guys read. We'll cover that later. But doesn't it feel like Yoko Ono has had so many lives in one life? I mean, 93 years young now, but her legacy, her life still lives on here at the Museum of Contemporary Art Chicago. I am with Jamila. Jamila, you're the curator here. Let's get right into the conversation because I see different rooms, right, that kind of show the progress of her long life. And this is kind of a significant spot because this is where her connection with John Lennon started.
Yes. So in 1966, Yoko had an exhibition in London at Indica Gallery, and I want to emphasize that it was her exhibition, and John Lennon came to the show. This was the first show that she had that had objects in it. You know, she's more of a conceptual artist, a performance artist, so on and so forth. But she had a number of objects like this work ceiling painting that's behind us, which at the time of the exhibition, people were invited to go up the ladder. We're not allowing people to do that at the MCA, but you could go up the ladder, use the magnifying glass, and there'd be a small word printed on the pane above. There's works that are behind me, one of which, Apple, was really one of the reasons why John and Yoko began to talk, because John took a little bit of extra license and bit the apple.
Really?
Which, yes, as much as Yoko's work gives permission to the viewer, that was one thing that was actually not sanctioned.
You know, there's so many pieces in here, and it's like, what, 4 or 5 rooms, maybe more, and it's all interactive. You and I were talking how, yes, Yoko Ono, you know, has such a public name, a well-known name, but a lot of people don't really know the story of her life before becoming a public figure, correct?
Yes. So the hope with the exhibition is that people will get to learn about Yoko before she became a public figure. She was someone that had a very active career starting in the 1950s when she first moved to New York. She became involved with experimental music, avant-garde, performance scenes, and then that's really where her career begins. I would say in the mid-1960s, that's when she really set the foundations for so much of her work following after the publication of the book Grapefruit, which is a book of instructions. But there are a lot of things that I think people coming to the exhibition will be excited to learn about Yoko that they might not have learned before because of her relationship with John Lennon.
And that's what we're seeing right here on this screen as well, kind of that movie. You said there's a lot of audio that goes along with this. You make it interactive. You know, during the tease I showed the kind of nail board there, and there's also like a shadow piece to it as well.
Yes, so behind us is a work called Shadow Piece, which is one of the many interactive works that are in the exhibition where the public will be invited to stand in front of this canvas and to trace a stranger or a friend's shadow, really bringing together different bodies, different people from all walks of life, which is so much a part of Yoko's practice, really opening up the stage for people to interact with the work and to effectively be collaborators with her and her ideas.
You know what? There's just so much in this small space, and like I said, there's many like little rooms here, so you're going to have enough. We're not giving it all away. If you can come here until February 22nd, is it?
February 22nd.
It's for all ages. If people are interested, is this kind of an add-on when you come to MCA, or is this all included in your ticket in?
All included in our ticket price. We're open Tuesday through the weekend, 10 to 5. Tuesday is our late night. But yes, you don't have to pay extra to experience this exhibition. It's all included in the admission.
You know, and quickly, I want to tease our 9 o'clock hour because there's another space where you can actually write a birthday note to Yoko Ono downstairs, correct?
Yes. So Yoko's 93rd birthday is on February 18th, and what we're doing is collecting birthday wishes for her, similar in the spirit to some of her written text-based works, like the wish trees that are on view here, that have been quite popular with the public.
Okay, yeah, I'm telling you, it's very interactive. Well, more information about Yoko Ono, Music of the Mind, on our website, fox32chicago.com. Pretty cool here. I'm learning a lot. I'm seeing a lot, and you're going to have to come here, too. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Gabby. Appreciate it. Looks fascinating. All right, 8:42. This coming up, the mother of all comedy shows.
Yes, on Good Day Chicago at 9, the Bad Moms with a Z of comedy will be here. It's going to be a laugh fest that you'll want to see.
Live better, vote more.
All you need.
Welcome back. With negative 25 wind chills expected later this week, it is the perfect time to think warm thoughts and book your summer and spring break travel. So here to help us save money, get the most out of our travel budgets this year is the host of the Thrifty Traveler podcast, Mr. Gunnar Olson. Gunnar, welcome to the program. Appreciate you joining us, sir.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, so let's go through strategies here. If we want to maximize our budgets when it comes to flights, let's start with flights. What's your advice?
I would recommend that you avoid those peak days, especially if you need to book the cheapest flight possible, which we all love a cheap flight, especially us here at Thrifty Traveler. But I would avoid those peak days, like for spring break, for instance. If you're going to fly out Friday night and you're going to come back Sunday night, you're going to pay the absolute maximum, right? Those are the peak times. That's when everybody wants to fly. If you can switch that itinerary just a little bit and maybe go Saturday to Saturday, or better yet, like a Tuesday to Tuesday, maybe you miss a day or two of school, you're going to end up paying a much, much better rate. So I think that's definitely the top tip, especially for spring break when the demand is all condensed into those same few days, especially around the Chicago area.
My next door neighbor did that exact strategy. They came back on Tuesday instead of Sunday, and they saved hundreds on their flights. Now let's get to destinations. So that's a great little tip, great little tidbit. Are there any destinations, either for spring break or summer, that are cheaper right now relative to other destinations?
I would look at destinations where there's a lot of service from the Chicago area. So I think a lot of places down in Florida, for instance, where, you know, United and American are competing to run, you know, dozens of flights down there a day. But I'll give you one better. I would go to Google Flights, the very best flight search engine. And what I do is use their Explore map. So put in Chicago O'Hare or Midway, whatever your preference is, into your departure cities, and then leave that destination city blank. And then put in the dates that you want to fly. And then what it'll do is it'll bring up a map and it'll show you on a map where the lowest fares are. That way, if you haven't planned something for spring break yet and you're still looking for a bargain, you can easily just hunt through that map and see what kind of a destination is going to give you the best deal overall.
Oh, that is really, really good advice. I just pulled it up here because we're kind of deciding. When, in terms of timing, is a good window to do it? Because I always get caught in that, like, okay, do I book now when I know there's space on the flight, or do I wait till it comes down? I can never sort through it.
Yeah, we're always all looking for that Goldilocks zone, right? I think, you know, at Thrifty Traveler, we have a full team of flight deal analysts. We're looking for these things all the time. And what we see is for spring break, you're going to want to book right now. I would say prices are unlikely to get a lot lower for spring break, especially in kind of that mid-March or late March time frame. And then for summer, you know, there is a bit of a Goldilocks zone in the next kind of 2 months where we're looking at fares that are going to get cheap possibly for over the summer break. But, you know, we either say way out ahead, kind of right in this middle, kind of 2-3 months ahead of time, or sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes there are good deals right at the last minute. But for spring break, I would get on it right now.
Okay, real quick before we let you go, Gunnar, any advice when it comes to booking accommodations on a budget here?
Yeah, I mean, I would also book flexibly the best you can for accommodations, especially if, you know, if you're looking at Airbnbs or Verbos, look into those cancellation policies and make sure you're covered. Same thing for hotels. If you can make sure that you're getting a rate that is flexible, that'll let you cancel up until the last minute, especially when you're flying out of a place like Chicago when the weather gets bad. When travel goes south, you want to have some flexibility in your back pocket. So I would always recommend you do that and just cast a wide net, right? Hotels, Airbnbs, don't just look at the first thing and book it. There might be a good deal out there, but look around.
Gunnar, I just did the Google thing while you were talking from Chicago, Tuesday to Tuesday during my spring break, and found a round trip for one person from Chicago to Orlando for $126. So you're on to something, sir.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for your expertise. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Anytime.
All right. Caitlin, that answers some of our questions, right? That's a good strategy. You just leave the destination blank and see what comes up.
I love that.
It worked just now for me.
Did it?
Yes.
Okay. I know you like to travel too.
Indeed.
Road trips especially. Super fun. The Ponce family. Indeed. Yes. All right. Let's talk about this weather because you might want to escape Chicago. I don't blame you. It is very cold outside. Not only today, but tomorrow, Friday. Our actual temperature on Friday is going to be below 0. The actual temperature, not the wind chill. But today, we do actually have temperatures that are quite a bit warmer than we were yesterday. So today is actually going to be the highlight of the week if you have to be outside at all. Temperatures right now are in the upper 20s and low 30s. So we are going to be pushing into the low 30s, feeling like we could be in the upper teens and low 20s this afternoon. We had a little bit of snow earlier this morning. You probably saw that dusting out there. Right now, though, mostly dry conditions, maybe a flurry here or there. But temperatures, as mentioned, reaching around 31 to 32, which is exactly where we should be for this time of year. Moving into tonight, we're dropping down to around 10 to 15 degrees. And then tomorrow, temperatures are going to be cooler in the mid-20s. But then as we work our way to the end of the week, that's when we bottom out with wind chills at 30 to 40 degrees below zero, possible early Friday. Here's your futurecast to show this afternoon and evening. We have the potential for some light snow returning. And then heading into tomorrow, as mentioned, it's going to be quiet outside of those cooler temperatures. And then we really get dangerously cold Thursday night into Friday. Jake, it's 8:50. What are you doing this morning at a bar?
All kinds of trouble, Caitlin, Cody. Listen, if you've ever wanted to live in the world of Family Guy, you've watched it on Fox for years, but if you've ever wanted to live inside of it, now's your chance. We are live in Westtown at a new pop-up that's recreating the iconic watering hole, the Drunken Clam, and we're taking you inside when we come back. No, not yet, not yet. No, not yet.
Your go-to source for live
Well, if you're going to enjoy some adult beverages, I mean, really, where else would you want to go other than the Drunken Clam?
There's no other venue. The Family Guy's fictional bar is coming to Chicago, everybody, and Jake is there live to explain how it'll celebrate some history. Jake, take it away, sir. I see Stewie there.
Exactly right. Listen, guys, in the grand scheme of pop culture bars, you're going to be hard-pressed to find something more iconic, a more iconic location than the Drunken Clam. Listen, you've watched Family Guy on Fox for years. Case in point, you probably have seen this living room a time or two. But if you've ever wanted to know what it felt like to maybe throw one back inside of the iconic watering hole from Family Guy, we got just the place for you, because there is a new pop-up in Westtown that is basically a perfect recreation of the Drunken Clam from Family Guy. I'm here with Derek Barry, the president of Experiences. Bucket Listeners, my man, good to see you. Good to see you. I want to give you guys a shout out for a minute, because we've done different pop-ups with you guys in the past. And sometimes you do a pop-up and it's a cardboard cutout and a themed drink. But when you guys do a pop-up, it really is like you're stepping into the show. Case in point, welcome to the Drunken Clam.
You are here. We are in Quahog. But you said it. I mean, look, Chicago's the best city in everywhere in the world. Let's put it right. They deserve the best, and there is a lot of pop-ups. And when we come to town, we really want to make sure it's a 10 out of 10. We were just talking before we filmed, and you know, 10 years ago, we did the Saved by the Max together.
Yes,
you
exactly.
broke that one. Thank you. It's so good to see you again.
Good to
love
see
to
you.
do it. 2 exclusives, awesome together.
I'll take it, man.
But I remember talking to you and saying, like, we didn't just want to do cardboard cutouts.
Yeah.
We didn't want a nook that just looked like it. And we wanted to work directly with the studio, be licensed. We want them to say, hey, guys,
and
change
that goes
this,
a
do
long
that.
way.
It goes so far.
And you know, there are so many little Easter eggs around. Like, you can come back here and you can order a drink, and if you're just doing that, that's fine.
Right.
But you could spend an hour walking around here looking. I mean, like, case in point, you talked about having permission with the studio. You have all these hand-drawn illustrations from some of the early seasons, and even the drinks themselves are throwbacks to
everything.
This is a drink.
Yeah, that's a drink. So this is No to Cleveland. It's called the Oh No No No. And if you're a fan of Family Guy, you will get it. And if you're not a fan of Family Guy, you probably want to drink a cocktail out of a bathtub, and it's going to be a really good time.
Let's be honest, it's a life goal for many of us. Now, this opens tomorrow, but it's not going to be here forever. So what do people need to know if they want to come out and know what it feels like to be Peter or Cleveland or any of the guys throwing back at the Drunken Clam?
Well, like you said, you could be here for an hour, but with your ticket, you actually get an hour and a half and a welcome cocktail. You jump on bucketlisters.com, Chicago Bucket List on Instagram, easiest place to find it. And you book a ticket, right? Dates are selling out. We want you to book in advance so you know when you come in.
So it's not just knock on the door and roll in. Like, you need to have an appointment to be here.
If we're not sold out, you can roll in.
Sure.
You know, you, Peter.
But you're risking it.
You're risking it. It's cold. You don't want to hang out outside. So book a ticket. You get online and you come in here. You have a great time. There's different photo ops. There's steamed cocktails. Everything you could think of. The little Easter eggs. Like we run that stuff by Seth and his team, right?
That's incredible.
It's like it's not going to be just like subpar. It's like we really had to go for it. And there's so many fun things to just. I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to tell people what to look for, but there's a lot of fun stuff.
What is the website where people can get tickets?
Chicago Bucket List on Instagram.
And whenever you get a ticket, you get one of these little tokens, and this is for a drink?
Yes.
So you get a little Drunken Clam token. So guys, every one of these gets you a drink. So if you guys don't mind, as we wrap up our live shot, I'm just going to say, I don't often say this, but hey guys, drinks on me as we toss it back to you in the studio.
Hopefully they have some non-alcoholic options.
There you go.
Yeah.
I know. Now we got a few more weeks till the finish line.
Thank you so much, Jake. So kind of you.
Thank you, Jake. All right, we will be back with our 9 o'clock hour right after this, everybody.
No matter how you